Welcome to the Heartbreak Chronicles, where every story is a raw reflection of life. Hit that subscribe button to stay tuned, give us a like to show your support, and share this episode with your friends. Don't forget to leave a comment and let us know what you think. Now, let's dive into today's story. On August 15th, 2022, I was standing in my vineyard in Napa Valley, California, when the news I had been dreading came over my cell phone. All the test results confirmed my deepest fear. I had been diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. This meant that this would be my last grape harvest season. My name is Jack Thompson and I am 65 years old. Although the news is heartbreaking, I have accepted my fate and made peace with it. I look back on my life with satisfaction, knowing that my loved ones will be well taken care of after I am gone. Being the private person that I always am, I decided to keep it a secret from everyone for now, including my wife, Olivia, and I didn't want to worry her until I had a definitive answer. I planned to have a serious conversation with my family after the annual summer tasting at the vineyard. This is not the kind of news I want to convey over the phone or via text message. However, fate gave me an unexpected twist. As I drove onto the property, I noticed my business partner Ryan's shiny sports car parked in the driveway. It was very unusual. I immediately checked the home surveillance system on my cell phone, but found it in privacy mode and not recording anything. With misgivings, I decided to go to the wine cellar to check the backup video camera. My hunch was confirmed. The security footage showed Olivia and Ryan getting intimate in the living room, drinking our finest wines, dancing, and finally entering the master bedroom. To make matters worse, they left the door open and the microphone recorded everything. The revelation cut me to the core. All the love and devotion I had for Olivia was gone in an instant. I've experienced anger, betrayal, and sadness, but I know I'm not at fault. I've been a loyal and considerate husband, and now it's time to look out for myself. I contacted my attorney, Emma, and together we reviewed my will and prenuptial agreement. We worked to understand the extent and duration of the affair. This disturbing discovery made me question whether I really knew my wife of 30 years. Despite my inner turmoil, I decided to keep this discovery from Olivia and my family for the time being. I want to spend the last years of my life creating memories with my children and grandchildren. I will force a smile, play the role of loving father and grandfather, and cherish every moment we have together. A little background about me. I have twin children, Sarah and Michael, who are now 45 years old. Their mother Claire was my first love, but we broke up when we were young. Claire later married a nice man called Alex. I have always been actively involved in my children's lives and try to be the best father I can be. Claire, Alex, and I are now loyal friends. My financial situation is quite unique. Before I met Olivia, I had started this vineyard as part of a family trust. I semi-retired at the age of 50 and started getting more involved in philanthropy. What no one knows is that I donate 90% of the profits from the vineyard to various charities. Olivia insisted on a prenuptial agreement, mainly because she had her own successful interior design company. We both remain financially independent, and while she knows the vineyard is well run, she doesn't understand the full size of the trust. Over the next few days, I began writing letters to each family member, including Olivia. This process was much more difficult than I thought it would be, but it was important for me to express thoughts and feelings to my loved ones during this difficult time. I also began to think about how to reconstruct the trust to ensure that Sarah and Michael would inherit most of the assets. Summer has always been a special time for our family. Every year we have a great wine tasting and family gathering at the vineyard. We taste new wines together, enjoy good food, play games, and take in the beauty of the vineyard. Claire and Alex have been a big part of this tradition. However, I made the difficult decision not to tell everyone about my diagnosis until the end of the summer. I didn't want the bad news to interfere with our last moments of togetherness. Over the next few weeks, my family will have plenty of time to come to terms with this reality and prepare for my departure. During this difficult time, I found myself relying more and more on strangers online. I began sharing my story on Reddit forums for advice and emotional support. This virtual community became an outlet for me to talk about thoughts and feelings that I couldn't say to my family. Despite the conflicting emotions inside, I tried to behave as I always do. I didn't want my family to notice anything out of the ordinary, especially during a season that was supposed to be full of joy. But whenever I see Olivia, The pain of that betrayal rushes through me, and I have to do everything I can to keep my emotions in check. As the summer wine tastings approach, I'm trying to stay positive and focus on spending time with my family. Knowing that this may be the last time I celebrate the harvest with them, I am determined to make this summer special and memorable. I want the last moments of my life to be filled with warm and cherished memories, not goodbyes filled with anger and sadness. One sunny morning, I was visited in the vineyard by my old friend Sophia, a well-known wine critic and Olivia's best friend. She brings disturbing news. At a wine tasting last week, Olivia got drunk and confessed to her about the affair. Despite Sophia's attempts to stop her, Olivia shares too many details. Upon sobering up the next day, Olivia denies everything, accusing Sophia of misinterpreting her drunken words. Sophia gave Olivia a week to come clean, or she would tell me. I told Sophia I already knew and asked her to keep it a secret. I decided to confront Olivia at the annual vineyard dinner the next day. I planned to calmly tell her in front of a large number of guests what I knew, the state of my health, and how I planned to live the rest of my life without her. However, things didn't quite go to plan. For the dinner, I arranged for Emma, the attorney, and her husband to attend as guests as well, and also had Sophia on standby. While the guests were immersed in the wine and music, I took Olivia to our private tasting room. I started a conversation and quietly recorded it. Olivia couldn't stop talking about how wonderful our relationship was and how our vineyard had become one of the most popular tourist destinations in California. When I asked her why she cheated on me, she initially denied it, but eventually admitted it after seeing the evidence in my hands. I calmly explained how I found out and my cancer diagnosis. I told her I had decided not to undergo treatment. I gave her a letter asking her not to contact me or my family or come to the vineyard. I also gave her a folder with evidence and divorce papers and urged her to sign them. I made it clear that I would stay on the vineyard and would not see her again after that night. Olivia breaks down in the tasting room, but I can no longer be moved by her tears. As we walked out of the tasting room, I saw the concerned looks of Sarah and Michael. My son Michael drove my pickup truck, and his wife Amy drove me back to the main house on the vineyard. They were by my side that night. The next day, Sophia came to the vineyard to tell me that Olivia had had a complete breakdown and had even contacted Ryan for comfort. Olivia seemed to finally realize that she had been used by Ryan. At Sophia's request, I agreed to have a 2-hour conversation with Olivia at the vineyard, each with a supporter present. During the meeting, Olivia cried, apologized, and tried to downplay the affair, but I refused to accept any excuses. I explained that she could stay at the cottage until I died, but after that everything would be decided by the trust administrator. I made it clear that she would not receive anything from my estate or the trust, but that she had her design company so there would be no financial problems. When Olivia asked me why I wasn't fighting for our marriage, I replied that I no longer cared about her or our relationship. It seemed to break her heart, but I had had enough of the selfish behavior of cheaters. After the meeting, Sophia told me that the trust administrators had informed Ryan that they planned to withdraw their investment in his wine importing company and had requested a full audit. Olivia turned to Ryan for reassurance, but discovered that he was simply using her to gain access to inside information about the vineyard. In addition, Olivia's design company had recently run into financial difficulties, and she had very little personal savings left. Sophia also did something unexpected. She suggested that if I needed company, I could call her. I was skeptical, but she insisted that even given my diagnosis, there would be plenty of people who would be willing to spend the rest of my time with me. She said that people who truly appreciated life and wine would cherish every moment they spent with me. The following week, I spent quality time with my family. We attended a local wine festival together, and I arranged a family wine tasting to teach the grandchildren how to appreciate different wines. Working in the vineyard continues to bring me comfort, and knowing that this place will stay in the hands of the family gives me peace. Friends and industry peers came to visit me, and someone mentioned the idea of a big farewell tasting. However, my health began to deteriorate. During a vineyard tour, I suddenly collapsed and was taken to the hospital. Although I had medical instructions not to perform CPR, I survived. I never liked the smell of disinfectant in hospitals, and I didn't want to spend my last days there. I was determined to spend the rest of my days in the vineyard, tending to my vines, and enjoying the beauty of the vineyard at sunrise and sunset. While in the hospital, my family and Sophia took turns staying with me. One night, Olivia slipped into the hospital room while I was alone. She put on her caring wife act, holding my hand and stroking my hair. I drew my hand back, which seemed to hurt her feelings. She started apologizing and explaining, but I stayed silent. Olivia finally left quietly, though she gave me a soft kiss on the forehead before she left. I understand that Olivia's behavior reflects her desperation as she tries to salvage her reputation and status. But to me, she is no longer special, just a drowning man grasping for any lifeline. Meanwhile, Sarah conducts an in-depth investigation into Ryan's company's finances. While no obvious violations of the law are found, it is clear that he has utilized a variety of tactics to inflate the value and performance of his company. Sarah's investigation could result in a significant drop in the value of his company, much to Ryan's chagrin. He threatens to file a lawsuit, but his credibility in the wine industry has been severely damaged. Sophia became an increasingly important presence in my life during this difficult period. She often came to the vineyard, and we tasted wine together and discussed life and philosophy. Although no romantic relationship developed between us, her friendship and love of wine brought me great comfort. I began to learn to rely on others more, especially after I could no longer drive around the vineyards alone, and Sophia's eagerness to help enriched my life. As time passed, I became more and more grateful for the support of my family and friends. I continue to share my stories and insights about wine on the Reddit forums, an online community that has become a great outlet for emotional catharsis and sharing life's wisdom. Even as I face the final stages of my life, I try to remain positive, cherish each day, and endeavor to leave behind valuable experiences and memories for my family and wine enthusiasts. As fall approaches, my health continues to deteriorate. I'm more prone to fatigue, and my family has noticed this. I blamed it on the busy harvest season, but that persistent cough that initially triggered everything was still there. A tumor in my lungs triggered the initial diagnosis, but I've been dismissing it as a chronic cough caused by dust in the vineyard. I expect my condition to deteriorate rapidly once other symptoms appear. Nonetheless, I remained determined to make the most of the time I had left. I began making plans to spend a day alone with each of my children and grandchildren, teaching them about viticulture and winemaking. The letter I'm working on is still unfinished, and the process is much more difficult than I thought it would be. But I know how important it is to express my thoughts, feelings, and love of the vineyard to my loved ones. During this time, I also took some important legal and financial steps. I met with Emma to finalize a few key decisions. We drafted a new permanent will that replaced the temporary one. The document was signed, and I was relieved that no further changes were needed. To prepare for the worst-case scenario, we also drafted divorce documents based on a prenuptial agreement and evidence of an extramarital affair. According to the prenuptial agreement, Olivia gets almost nothing but 25% of our joint property, mainly some furniture and artwork. I will keep all vineyard assets, wine inventory, and related investments. I have signed these documents and created a packet containing all the evidence of the affair, just in case. I have made a major decision regarding the administration of the Vineyard Trust. I will be demoted to 1% trustee. Sarah and Michael will receive the majority of the trusteeship, and the 4 grandchildren will make up the remainder. Claire and Alex will hold all the grandchildren's proxies until they reach the age of 25. If there is a remainder, Claire will receive an additional share or vote to ensure family harmony. After making these decisions, I arranged an important family meeting. My lawyer, Emma, the notary, Sarah, Michael, Claire, and Alex came to the vineyard. When they saw the lawyer and notary, the atmosphere became tense. I sat them down in the vineyard's conference room and listened to me explain the situation while they tasted our latest vintage of Pinot Noir. During the meeting, I explained the significance of the vineyard in my life, why I created this family business, and how it is independent of my marriage to Olivia. I left detailed instructions on how I would like them to manage and develop the vineyard, including maintaining our organic farming philosophy and commitment to supporting the local community. We discussed how the trust would be distributed to Sarah, Michael, and the grandchildren. Their trust in me was evident as they signed and notarized the documents. After completing the legal process, I began to talk about my health. I explained my diagnosis and my decision not to seek aggressive treatment, but to let nature dictate its course. I wanted to spend my final days in my beloved vineyard, not in a hospital. My family spent the rest of the day arguing with me, trying to convince me to fight it. Claire and Alex seemed to understand my point of view better, even if they may not have agreed with it completely. When I explained when I found out about the cancer, it triggered another round of anger and sadness. I told them that I wanted another harvest season where I wouldn't be seen as a walking dead man, and I didn't want the diagnosis to taint their fond memories of the vineyard. Then I had to reveal Olivia's affair to them. It was the first time I really saw the anger burning in Sarah's eyes. I also told them that Olivia still didn't know that I knew about it. The family had a lot of questions and we discussed a lot of things, including my experience seeking support on a Reddit forum. Next, I gave them a detailed overview of the vineyard and trust finances. The room was silent as I perused the balance sheet and future plans. They asked me why I worked so hard when I already had such a successful vineyard. I explained my personal philosophy, something they had always kept in mind. I told them that I have always viewed the vineyard as a legacy and a responsibility, not just a money maker. I use it to support their education, create jobs in the community, and promote sustainable agricultural practices. I encourage them to use this vineyard to do more for others, to work for a cause they believed in, not just to produce and sell wine. I explained that I have accomplished more than just running a business. I have nurtured others, built a brand that values quality and integrity, and created a network of valuable people throughout my life. This family meeting was an emotionally intense time. We cried and laughed together, and shared many stories about the difficult early years of the vineyard. I pleaded with them to let me handle Olivia on my own and not to discuss the details of the trust with anyone for a while. We agreed to keep things as they were until my health deteriorated further. In the days that followed, I continued to spend time with my family and create memories. I attended my grandchildren's school events, organized a family grape picking, and enjoyed the serenity of a fall vineyard. We hosted a small private wine tasting with several longtime clients and friends. At the tasting, I shared some of the older vintages that I have been collecting for years, each bottle carrying special memories. Friends have been visiting, and we have discussed the idea of a big farewell to the Harvest Festival that would give me a chance to say goodbye to more friends and industry peers. I encourage anyone to come and see me and cherish what may be our last time together. I try to stay positive despite my body getting weaker every day. I am thankful for every day that I am still alive and cherish the opportunity to be able to walk through the vineyards and admire the vines in the early morning mist. I know my time is running out, but I am determined to spend my remaining days on my own terms, surrounded by my beloved family and the land that I have poured my life into. As I slowly pace among the vines, I often think about the cycle of life. Just as these vines produce new fruit each year, my life is coming to an end, but my impact will live on through my family and this vineyard. This gives me great comfort and allows me to face my impending departure with peace. As late fall approached, my health deteriorated dramatically. My family and the vineyard staff began to visit me more frequently. I cherished every moment I spent with them, even though I felt exhausted at times. My cough worsened, and it became increasingly difficult to breathe. Nevertheless, I continued to take daily walks in the vineyard, breathing in the aroma of grapes and oak barrels. During this time, I began to seriously consider how to organize my afterlife. I discussed the funeral arrangements with my family, and I wanted it to be a celebration of life. I proposed a celebration of life at the vineyard, inviting family, friends, and industry peers to share memories of me in the vineyard through a tasting of wines that I had personally selected. The idea was enthusiastically supported by my family. I also continued to refine the letters to each family member, trying to express my love for them and my hopes for the future of the vineyard in the limited time available. I have prepared a special bottle of wine for each person that corresponds to their birth year or other significant moment. With regard to Olivia, the situation became more complicated. Her social standing declined significantly, and she was politely asked to resign from the boards of several important charitable organizations once word got out in wine circles. Most people in her circle expressed disappointment in her behavior, and some even accused her of using our relationship to promote her interior design business. She made several attempts to contact me, But I told her through Emma that I had said what I needed to say and knew everything I needed to know. Things don't look too good for Ryan either, as Sarah's investigation into his company reveals his practice of using a variety of tactics to inflate the value and performance of his company. While there were no obvious violations of the law, these findings seriously damaged his credibility in the wine importing industry. He threatened to file a lawsuit, but it seemed a futile struggle. Many vineyards terminated their relationships with him. Toward the end of my life, Sophia became an unexpected support. She came to the vineyard often and helped me organize my tasting notes over the years, which we plan to compile into a book as a gift for wine lovers. Although no romantic relationship developed between us, her friendship and love of wine brought me great comfort. As time went on, I became more and more dependent on my family and healthcare providers. I now have full-time in-home caregivers, and although I jokingly refer to them as vineyard guardians, I am grateful for their care. My family takes turns coming to the vineyard to be with me and to make sure I'm not alone. In the last few weeks of my life, I decided to write a farewell letter to my friends on the Reddit forums. This online community has been a great source of support and comfort to me during one of my most difficult times, and I feel compelled to express my gratitude to them. Below is a portion of my letter. Dear Reddit friends, if you are reading this letter, it means that I have embarked on the last leg of my life's journey. I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart for your support and advice. The time we have shared on this forum has been invaluable to me, and I have been inspired by your friendship and love of wine. You have helped me realize my final gift to myself and to my family, a final harvest season filled with laughter and wine. Without this platform and your support, I may not have been able to face the end of my life with such grace. My family may not fully understand the significance of this gift now, but I'm sure they will in the future. I can't tell you how much I enjoyed recording those vineyard tours and wine tasting videos. It's a part of my legacy that my family and wine lovers will always have, all thanks to your advice and encouragement. I have a request that I hope you can sympathize with. My family is going through a difficult time. I understand that sharing my story here may leave people wanting to know what follows. But please give my family some space to grieve and adjust. I have asked them to share some updates through this forum when they are ready. However, the final update is up to them. I ask for your patience. In closing, I wish each and every one of you the best. Wherever I end up, I carry my best wishes with me. Remember, life is like a good bottle of wine. Savor it slowly and appreciate it. Know yourself, be kind to others, and cherish those around you. I hope you never have to go through what I went through, but if you ever get into trouble, remember that this community is always here to support you. Each of you is unique, just as each wine has its own character. Never let anyone devalue you. Wherever I am, I will raise a glass to you all. Saying thank you doesn't seem nearly enough, but it's the only word I can think of right now. Thank you all. May we be reunited in some vineyard in the afterlife, just not too soon. Thanks again and cheers. In the last days of my life, my family took turns being by my side. We took walks together through the vineyard, reminisced about the past, and shared laughs and tears. I felt very fortunate to be able to spend my last days on the land I love so much, surrounded by the people I love. Eventually, I left this world in peace. Sarah and Michael were by my side, holding my hand. My last thoughts were of gratitude for the land, love for my family, and hope for the future of the vineyard. My story did not end with my departure. My family continued my legacy by running the vineyard, making great wines, and helping the local community. Olivia eventually came to terms with reality and started a new life. Ryan's company went through reorganization, but ultimately kept most of the employees' jobs. My Reddit forum friends continue to share their wine stories and support each other. My experience has inspired many to reevaluate their lives and cherish the people and causes they love. Our vineyard hosted a huge celebration of life, where wine lovers from all over the world gathered to taste my hand-picked wines and share stories about me and the land. This celebration has become an annual event in the wine world, where people find a love of life and a respect for wine. Although my life is over, my impact continues. The vineyard flourished under Sarah and Michael's stewardship, and our organic farming philosophy became more widely recognized. My tasting notes were compiled into a book that became a must-read for wine lovers. I hope my story serves as a reminder of the preciousness of life, the power of love, and the importance of maintaining dignity and kindness in the face of adversity. Like a bottle of vintage wine, life takes time to develop its complexity and depth. In conclusion, I would like to say, cherish the moment, be kind to others, and never forget the importance of sharing good times. Goodbye, my dear friends. May your lives be like the finest wines, full of rich layers, delightful aromas, and a long finish. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's story. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have a story to share about your own or someone else's experience, please feel free to contact me. Take care.